Hey guys, so for this video, I'm gonna teach you how to improve your aim in Fortnite Chapter 2 Season 2. The last time I made an aim training video was about 3 months ago, and those guides focus more on tips and tricks than anything else. What this video will be is a walkthrough of different aim training routines, maps, and pointers that I got from a website called Novos. No, I am not sponsored by them at all, but after I saw their collaboration with Amber7 and Tito, I knew it was something worth sharing. Before we start though, I'm really quickly gonna throw up some timestamps in case you want to skip around. Just keep in mind, the whole thing will be a lot easier to comprehend if you watch the entire video through. With that being said, let's start with an overview of the guide I just mentioned. On your screen is the document Novos produced that they're calling the Ultimate Fortnite Aiming Routine. It's a total of 24 pages with about half of them being routines and the other half being random insight. I'm not going to cover even close to all of it, only the important stuff, so definitely download this on your own. Link is in the description. Anyways, to start, I think you guys know why aiming is important and why it's worth using an aim training routine. The one thing I'm not sure you're all convinced of is why you should use this one. Outside of this guide and routine being itsJerian approved, it was made by some of the best aimers in the business. There's Amber7 who coached tons of top tier pros like Zate, Zexro, and Psalm. There's Tito, who you guys know makes some of the best aim training maps in all of Fortnite Creative. And then there's the team at Novos, which I don't know too much about, but they formatted the document really well, so I trust them. All three of those parties work together on this to create one of the best aim guides I've seen in a while. Usually the guides that come out are for Kovacs only or stray away from Fortnite aim training in general. This one, as you will see, does the opposite and balances everything you want in a program quite nicely. Alright, let's say that you agree with all of that, but what if, as Novo says, you can't seem to get a schedule in place? The absolute easiest way to combat that and to get a good aim training schedule down is to make a habit of it to aim train anytime you log online. Simply go into creative, load up the maps I will show later, and top your booty into the portal. After you do this enough, it'll become a ritual for you and something you subconsciously do every time you warm up. Regarding the length of the routine, Novos recommends you spend around 25 minutes a day aim training. I agree with this and think you can even drop it down to 10 minutes or 5 minutes if you're really crunched on time. The big takeaway is that some aim training is way better than none. The next section in their guide I only just realized is from Slangrite. He's the guy that made the Game Sense course I showcased way back in the day and is overall a really good YouTuber. The other topic he covers in the write-up is the other giant roadblock when it comes to aim training. Can you guess what it is? It's your motivation. When it comes to improving at Fortnite, nothing is as boring as aim training. You're literally sitting there alone, repeatedly shooting at the same targets on loop. The main problem with this is that for a lot of you guys, this leads to you getting lazy. You become complacent, focus on other things, and forget to actively correct your mistakes. That is the absolute last thing you want to happen when you are trying to improve. Slangrite's solution to this is to set a goal for yourself of doing a certain amount of perfect reps in a row. This is much different than the usual goals you'll see people recommend because it's not based on hitting as many targets as you can in a certain time frame. Instead, it's all about how many targets you can hit successfully in a row, regardless of how long that takes, meaning you'll be focused on your aiming rather than the timer. To select your goals, start with a baseline of say 10 on every drill, then once you try it, you can decide to adjust the goal up or down depending on how you did. For example, if you couldn't finish 10 reps in Tile Frenzy, lower it by 5, but if you're a madman like Mongrel who does not miss, raise it by 5. The final aspect of motivation in setting goals is of course tracking your goals. You always want to be transparent with your performances to see if your aim is actually improving, and the way they recommend to do that is to use their tracker platform they made. Again, I'm not sponsored by them, but they were cool enough to make this guide and all these free routines. I know Tito made a video on it and it does seem pretty helpful. All you gotta do is download it, make it run while you play any of the scenarios I will show in a minute, and it will track your score automatically as well as put it up on a global leaderboard. So take all of that info as you will. The point is that you need to set goals to stay motivated and also track them to be aware of your progress. For the last section, right before we move on to the routines, I'm quickly going to cover their write-up on sensitivities. Your sensitivity in Fortnite is crucial to improving your aim. The more comfortable you are with it, the faster your aim will improve. Okay, but how can we find that value? First thing you'll need to find if you're on keyboard and mouse is your DPI. DPI stands for dots per inch and is a measure of how fast your cursor moves while swapping weapons or doing things on your desktop. Some popular values are 400, 800, 1600, and 2000. After you find that, you then have to find your in-game set. sense. This value combined with your DPI is your effective in-game sense, aka your EDPI. My advice to find your optimal EDPI is to watch this video I made on the PSA method. Novos actually linked it in their guide, which is pretty cool. The way it works is you start with the sense to do a perfect 360 on your mouse pad and then adjust it up or down using the perfect sensitivity approximation calculator. You could always just do trial and error or copy a pro player settings, but it is important to note there is no best sensitivity. Just because Benji Fishy can hit his shots on high sense does not mean you can too. Vice versa, just because Tfue has insane aim on low sense does not mean you'll prefer that as well. So in the end, find what works for you using the PSA method and stick with it. Now for the moment you've all been waiting for, the routines. Both of these routines were made by Aimer7, who made all the amazing Kovacs routines for my last guide on that. The big difference here is that these routines are specifically designed for the 2 maps Tito made. Oh, and before I forget, if you're interested in things like how long you should be doing these for, they are all on the Novos guide that I just showed beforehand. You can do a 25-minute routine, a 40-minute routine, or even a 60-minute routine. Regardless, map number 1 is what Tito calls the first aim agency routine. Code will be in the description, by the way. Once you hop in, you spawn in these cool little waiting areas full of workout equipment and other random stuff. Towards the front is what matters, which are the 5 different drills for this routine. Novos recommends you do them in order, starting on the left with Tile Frenzy. This is basically your average Tile Frenzy drill you've seen on other maps. There's targets all over the walls of different sizes that will disappear and reappear on loop. Your goal is to hit as many as you can, hopefully above the goal you set yourself from before. Then when you finish, you can just go back into the portal or end the game you're playing and you'll spawn right back in the beginning with the other drills. The next one is called Horizontal, and it's essentially a horizontal tracking minigame. Zombies will move sporadically in front of you from side to side, and you want to do your best to track them throughout. Don't worry if you have trouble at first, because I'm not gonna lie, I did too. The good thing about it is that it showed me my close range tracking with an SMG really needed work. Third drill within the routine is called Vertical. I thought this would be the opposite of the horizontal one, but it's more of a vertical target switching scenario than anything else. There's 4 different sentries on separate levels from you, and Novo says to take them down without lifting your mouse. This will help you with your mouse control and building muscle memory. The second to last minigame is 1 wall 9 targets. I've personally never seen any drills like this where you have ballers being thrown around all over the place. I honestly really like it though, because it combines both aspects of vertical and horizontal tracking, which is exactly what you want. Final drill for the first routine is the one you saw in the thumbnail called Slide. As the name implies, it's a big ice slide that takes you through a bunch of hallways with sentry robots and other stationary targets within them. You don't need to jump or really press anything at all. You can just sit back and hope you hit all your close range shotgun shots. On to the other routine, and yes, you will need to put in a separate code. The map looks basically the same as the first routine, but don't be fooled because it has 5 completely new drills. The first one is called Bounce 180, like the Kovacs map, and it features a bunch of zombies bouncing all over the place. You have a gold AR like before, and you want to hone in on your close to mid-range tracking. Also remember, you can adjust your sensitivity at any time if you're struggling to keep up. I would recommend fooling around with the ADS sensitivity over your general X and Y in-game ones, just because it's a little easier to get used to an ADS sense rather than your overall one. Second drill is another one called Horizontal. However, it's kind of the opposite of the vertical one we just saw. There are again 4 sentries that shoot at you, all on the same level this time, and your objective is to target swap on them as accurately as you can. Next up is vertical tracking, and it's exactly what the drill should look like. Zombies keep moving up and down on each side of you, so do your best to keep your crosshairs lined up on them the entire time. After that is my other favorite drill called Fountain. What you do in it is look up and try to destroy all the ballers raining down on you from above, sort of like water drops sprouting down from a fountain. I found this drill surprisingly fun, mainly because of how unique it was. Either way, it's insanely good for your tracking aim. Finally, the last drill is named Parkour. This is very similar to the slide one, except you're jumping around and moving off of bouncers to get around. You have a combat shotgun, and it will help you work on your flick shots and general shotgun aim while not standing still. Overall guys, those are the 2 routines and everything you need to know about the ultimate Fortnite aim training routine. Huge thank you to Aimer7, Tito, and Novos for creating the guide. I definitely recommend looking at it on your own as I did not cover some of the stuff at the end. So if you learned something new or found the video useful, then do be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and to turn on post notifications. Shout out to everyone using my code itsJerian. The support recently has been insane on all of my videos, Twitter, and Instagram, and I hope you guys know how much I appreciate each and every one of you. Otherwise, that's it from me, and I will see you guys in the next one. Later.